Tell me how you learn. That's the motto of our video series, in which people share their personal experiences, tips and insights on learning.
What I've been trying a lot is to manage and to understand what is the role of these different people that I brought around me, and how can I be kind of a maestro of managing the energy of that system.
Hello, here we are again with our video series, Tell Me How You Learn. Today we are in Lisbon at the office of BetaChallenge. And I'm talking to Pedro Rocha Vieira.
Pedro is fine.
So I'll do the shortcut and I say Pedro. I would love to start with the question, really, how do you learn, Pedro?
Me personally, I learn a lot by experimentation, by trying, by iteration. I think in entrepreneurship you have this thing, fake it until you make it. I like to think out loud, and I like to try to understand what is the assumptions of what I'm trying to learn and what I'm trying to build and design by speaking, by interacting, by talking with people, by traveling. So I really like to do that in order to learn. Every system has its own way of looking at reality and describing reality. So what we need to do is getting into the different realities and crossing that with what we think we know. And so I learned by that, by putting in words and trying to really understand what I want to build.
So how has this way of learning, which you just described, how has this translated or impacted what you do now in your job?
I'm a leader of a company that has some people, but what we do is that we promote the creation of ecosystems of startups and innovation. It's a lot about finding new angles to develop. These new angles come from the intersections of different things. For that, you need a lot to understand how other people think, what they want, what are their feelings. What I like a lot is for learning and for what I do is to work a lot in myself. So doing a lot of psychoanalysis or my own experience, so that I know really well myself, and so that I can be aware of other people. So when I'm trying and when I'm experimenting things, I'm reading a lot of different realities, not only the business, but the emotional, the psychological, a lot of different things. Cultural, because when you're doing innovation, you have to join so many different layers, so many different systems. If you're not aware of yourself and you cannot understand also how the other person's reality is, it's difficult for you to read all the subtle things that are happening when you are creating new reality, when you're creating new knowledge. And for me, learning is that.
What were such moments which you do recall, which you do remember, where you said, wow, this was a learning kind of thing which changed somehow my way forward?
What I've been doing is that you have to understand what is the action that the system needs you to do that will bring more consensus, will bring more critical mass. And what I've been trying a lot is to manage and to understand what is the role of these different people that I brought around me, and how can I be kind of a maestro of managing the energy of that system. I'm part of different dimensions of the system. And what I've learned about me is that I've been deconstructing my heroes along the way. Most of the people don't know what they are doing, especially in the innovation. So if you trust yourself and you trust the process, you start to see that you are able to create things that are amazing and to get to places that before you thought was very difficult, very impossible. You just know that if you train yourself and that you believe, that you kind of something acts through you, and it's difficult to put in words, but for me it's that understanding that I have a role. Everything is a cause and effect, and being always aware of the small things and see the combinations growing and emerging. And for me, it's that. So learning, my wow moment was that nothing, when you understand that reality is not set. When you see that the people that you think created reality are not that different from you, and things then that you are part of the system, and you create new things, and it's not that complex.
I think it's nicely said that learning is that you understand that reality is not set. I mean, what kind of role has digital played?
I think that the biggest thing that the digital allows is that you can have access, you can communicate with a huge range of people. Create networks, exchange information.
Increases complexity, no?
Increases and decreases, because of course increases because it brings more information, but at the same time, with data, with technology, you can also organize the collective intelligence of a system, and you can better coordinate how you communicate with different things. In reality, it was what we saw in the newspaper. Yeah? Now, newspaper is just a fragmentation of reality. There's so many realities happening, and that's so now you can choose where you can step in, and you don't feel that you are going off track because there are so many tracks. And so this perception and this fluidity of the system, it's enabled by the digital.
Has digital learning, or do you have any kind of digital learning tools?
I think we also have realized that we are analog people, and so to learn, it's not only through digital. Digital is interesting to ignite a few things, but there's learning processes that you need to interact, to touch, to smell, to be close with people, to disconnect. And so I think to learn should be always a hybrid thing. The digital alone, it works too much on your mental, not on your energy, not on your body. So you have to combine this. And also to learn, for me, it was very important as a learning process also to do yoga, to run, because only through digital you get numb after a while. It's like you are using just one spectrum of your being and you get saturated. And then so you have to open, you have to regenerate. And that's what I'm trying a lot, is to find ways to regenerate myself and to do things that are completely opposite to my normal day. I like to mix a lot of different things because I think it's through that and being off and being in nature and these kind of things. If we don't balance, then we get saturated and we stop learning in a more holistic way.
Absolutely. You said earlier, one of your roles once in a while is also being a coach, enabling other people. So what kind of mistakes would you apologize a coach is making?
I think it's natural from almost all of us, and I do the same, that we don't listen enough, and we try to suggest other people that they do by what we think they should do. When we forget that each person is a completely different human being with a completely different system of behavior and thinking and purpose and everything, if we try to influence based on our perception, that's a big mistake.
What would you apologize from a learner?
I don't like when a learner doesn't listen, but I'm okay if he's strong-willed but open and flexible. That he doesn't take my suggestions in the way that I thought, which is reflects my mistake as a coach. I'm okay if they trust themselves and they are strong-willed, but with the ability to learn. If they do something very, but then they try something and they are able to learn from that mistake, that's okay. If the arrogance blinds them, I think that's a bad thing. So allowing a little bit of confidence, of ego, but in a healthy way.
When you think about learning, which color does come into your mind?
The colors are associated with different kind of levels of learning. It's not like it's a direct and linear progression of learning, but we have different levels of ourselves that need to evolve. and we can be higher in some ones and lower. So we have to improve in different ways. In terms of the colors, I like very much the kinds of purple and blue, which is more spiritual. But I know that a lot of the learning. It's interesting that beta is called beta, which is a kind of a frequency that is usually more linked to action. It's our beta state in terms of mind is when your mind is fast. It's kind of open, but is very action driven. That's more linked with orange and this kind of colors. But then it's good to have that energy. But you have, like again, when we were saying how we learn, we have to moderate and to integrate different colors. Otherwise, we get saturated.
If you look into the animal world, from which animal would you like to learn, and also what?
I like to learn to be more slow. I like maybe a snake or a snail, because you have to be patient. And then the snail also is autonomous, have their house in themselves. Yes. The other day also this thing about frogs, because frogs sometimes they take too much in and they don't know if they don't stop they blow. Yeah, so frogs have to learn. Sometimes I feel that I'm a bit like a frog, that I have to find ways to regenerate myself.
Okay, thanks a lot. I think that was a nice ending. Thank you. Thanks for watching this video. We hope you liked it, and please come back to our next episode of Tell Me How You Learn.